Most people didn't even slow down when they passed this trailer. It sat at the edge of the auction lot, sun-bleached, dented, and forgotten. A box of faded aluminum, tires cracked from sitting too long, a hitch rusted into the dirt like it had given up on ever being useful again. But one man stopped, not because it looked valuable, not because it looked easy, but because he saw something most people don't bother looking for anymore: potential. This trailer wasn't bought with confidence, it was bought with curiosity. The auctioneer barely mentioned it. A few quick words, a starting price so low it almost felt insulting. No crowd, no competition. One quiet bid. Sold. And just like that, a forgotten trailer got a second chance. At home, his wife raised an eyebrow when she saw it roll into the driveway. She didn't say no. She didn't say yes either. She just said, "What are you planning to do with that?" And that question sat in the air longer than either of them expected. Because at that moment, even he didn't fully know. Inside, the trailer smelled like time, old wood, dust, a past life that had been lived hard and then abandoned. The floor sagged in places. Cabinets hung crooked, clinging to their last screws. The windows were clouded over, like they didn't want to see the outside world anymore. But the frame was solid. The hitch was straight. The bones were still good. That's all he needed. This wasn't about flipping. It wasn't about resale value. It wasn't about proving anything to anyone online. This was about building something that didn't exist yet. The first night, he sat inside on an overturned bucket, the door open, the sun setting behind him. He imagined mornings that hadn't happened, light coming through new windows, coffee on a real countertop, a space that moved when life needed it to move. That's when the plan stopped being a plan. It became a vision. The teardown came first. Everything that didn't serve the future had to go. Cabinets out, flooring ripped up, walls stripped back to the frame. What looked like destruction was actually honesty. You can't transform something if you're afraid to see what it really is. Days turned into nights, nights turned into quiet mornings. He worked after work, on weekends, in borrowed hours most people give to scrolling or sleep. There were moments he questioned the decision, when a bolt snapped, when rot appeared where he didn't expect it, when the budget laughed back at him. But each problem solved made the trailer feel less like a liability and more like a partner. Slowly, the rebuild began. Insulation went in first, warmth before beauty, comfort before style. Because luxury isn't about what you see. It's about how a space makes you feel when no one else is around. New walls followed, clean lines, neutral tones, nothing flashy, nothing forced. Then the floor, real wood, not pretending to be something else. The kind that creaks just enough to remind you you're standing on something solid. The kitchen came next, compact but intentional. Every inch earned its place. A deep sink, matte fixtures, storage hidden where you wouldn't expect it. Lighting that didn't shout but invited you in. This wasn't a trailer pretending to be a house. This was a home that happened to move. The bathroom changed everything. Most people expect compromise here. He refused to. Full shower, thoughtful layout, materials that felt calm instead of cramped. When the water first ran, he stood there longer than necessary, just listening. It worked. The bedroom was last. Low ceilings, soft light, and windows placed exactly where the morning would find them. Not big, not dramatic, just right. When it was finished, he didn't announce it. He just asked his wife to step inside. She paused at the door. Then she smiled. Not the polite kind, the surprised kind. The kind that says, "You did this." What once sat abandoned on an auction lot now felt intentional, grounded, alive. A trailer that had been ignored now carried a future. This is what Hitch to Home is about. Not perfection, not speed, not showing off. It's about seeing value where others don't. About turning movement into meaning. About This trailer was never supposed to be his. It wasn't something he went looking for. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't even a good idea. It was an accident. The auction receipt sat folded in his glove compartment for weeks before he admitted it was real. A last-second bid. A number he didn't mean to raise his hand for. A trailer nobody wanted. For good reason. When he finally went to see it again, Standing alone without the noise of the auction, the regret hit immediately. The siding was worse than he remembered. The roof sagged. The tires were mismatched, like someone had given up halfway through caring. This wasn't charming. This was a problem. Friends laughed when he told them. Not cruel laughter, the kind that says, "Ran, I wouldn't touch that." Even he didn't argue. At home, the trailer sat untouched. Days passed, then weeks. Every time he walked by it, he felt heavier, like the trailer wasn't just broken, it was judging him. This one didn't whisper potential, it shouted mistakes. One night during a storm, the wind rattled the loose panels hard enough to wake him up. He stood at the window watching rain hit aluminum that had already lost its shine decades ago. That's when he realized something uncomfortable. This trailer felt exactly how he felt. Worn, overlooked, still standing, but barely. The next morning, he didn't bring tools. He brought a chair. He sat inside and let the silence talk back. There were names scratched into the cabinets, old stickers half peeled from the walls, evidence that this trailer had been lived in, maybe loved, before life moved on without it. Someone had slept here. Someone had believed this space was enough. That's when the rebuild began. Not with demolition, but with respect. He didn't rip everything out. He listened first. Reinforced what could still hold weight. Patched instead of replaced where possible. This wasn't about erasing the past. It was about carrying it forward. Progress was slow, painfully slow. Some days all he did was fix one small thing, tighten one joint, seal one seam. Most people would have quit. There was no dramatic before and after yet. No payoff. Just effort. Then something shifted. As the structure stabilized, so did his resolve. New insulation wrapped the old frame like reassurance. The roof stopped leaking. The walls stopped rattling. The trailer stopped apologizing for existing. Inside, he kept the layout simple. Nothing flashy. Nothing trendy. Soft lighting. Honest materials. Spaces designed to rest, not impress. The kitchen didn't try to be big. It tried to be reliable. The bathroom wasn't luxurious. It was dignified. The bedroom wasn't dramatic. It was peaceful. This trailer didn't want attention. It wanted peace. The final touch wasn't furniture. It was a small plaque by the door. Not a brand name, not a quote. Just the year it was built, and the year it was reborn. When it was finished, he didn't film a reveal right away. He stayed the night. No music, no camera, just quiet. In the morning, light came through the windows differently than it used to. Softer, kinder. For the first time since the auction, the regret was gone. Not because the trailer became something impressive, but because it became something honest. This is Hitch to Home. Sometimes transformation isn't about turning rust into luxury. Sometimes it's about turning regret into rest. And sometimes, the trailer that almost broke you becomes the one that holds you together. This one moved fast. Too fast, some people said. But from the moment he saw it, he knew. This trailer wasn't here to teach patience. It was here to remind him what momentum feels like. The auction ended, the hitch locked in, and before doubt had time to show up, the trailer was already rolling. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't broken either. Clean lines, solid frame, good bones, and good luck. The kind of find that feels like the universe saying, "All right, your turn." He didn't wait. The very first night, tools came out. Music played. Lights stayed on late. This wasn't careful. This was confident. Walls came down quickly. Old fixtures didn't get sentimental goodbyes. The future had places to be. This trailer didn't need convincing. It wanted to change. By day 2, the space felt bigger, lighter, like it could finally breathe. Windows opened wider, layout tightened. Every move felt right. There was no second guessing. When something didn't work, it didn't slow him down. It redirected him. That's the difference. This build wasn't about fixing mistakes. It was about riding a wave. Insulation went in fast. Flooring snapped together clean. Cabinets landed exactly where they were supposed to, like the trailer had been waiting for them. He laughed more during this build, not because it was easy, but because it was flowing. The kitchen became the heartbeat, bright, open, inviting, a place where conversations start without planning, a countertop wide enough for meals, laptops, and life happening all at once. The bathroom surprised everyone. Clean, modern, effortless. No tricks, no shortcuts, just smart design and confidence in small spaces. And then the living area. Sunlight hit it just right. That moment, when a space finally shows you what it wants to be, that's when he stopped building and started enjoying. The bedroom sealed it. Soft textures, warm tones, a window placed perfectly for morning light and late-night thinking. Not luxury that shouts, luxury that smiles. The final walkthrough didn't feel like a reveal. It felt like a celebration. Friends stepped inside and laughed. Not at it, with it. That kind of laughter that means, yeah, this works. Someone said, I could live here. That's when he knew. This trailer didn't just transform, it uplifted. This is Hitch to home. Some builds heal you, some builds test you, and some builds remind you why you started in the first place. Because when momentum meets vision, even a trailer can feel like a win. And sometimes, that's all you need.
Let me be very clear. I did not ask for a trailer. I didn't ask for it to show up in the driveway. I didn't ask for the noise. I didn't ask for the smell of dust, metal, and bad decisions. And I definitely didn't ask for it to take over every conversation we had. He called it a project. I called it a distraction. Every evening there he was, tools out, music on, covered in dirt like that was something to be proud of, talking about layouts and framing and potential like potential pays bills. Meanwhile, dinner got cold. Weekends disappeared. And suddenly, I was competing with a box on wheels for his attention. The trailer wasn't charming from where I stood. It was loud. It was ugly. And it felt like a promise he made without asking me first. I watched from the window most nights, not because I was interested, but because I was annoyed. Annoyed that he looked happy out there. Annoyed that something broken was getting more care than I was. I said things I meant and things I didn't. Is this ever going to end? How much is this costing us? What happens when this falls apart? He didn't always answer. That made it worse. Then one night, I stepped inside. I don't know why. Curiosity, maybe. Or frustration that needed a place to land. It was still unfinished. Exposed walls, wires everywhere. No beauty yet. No payoff. Just effort. And that's when it hit me. He wasn't escaping us. He was trying to build something he could control. Something that didn't talk back. Something that didn't carry history. Something that wouldn't tell him he wasn't enough. I saw the care in the details. The way he measured twice. The way he fixed things that didn't have to be perfect, just right. The trailer wasn't replacing me. It was holding what he didn't know how to say. I didn't apologize right away. I'm not that generous. But I softened. I started asking questions instead of making statements. I noticed when he came inside tired instead of wired. I noticed when he smiled less and worked harder. The day it was finished, he didn't announce it. He just opened the door and waited. I walked through slowly, and I hated how much I loved it. Not because it was beautiful, though it was, but because it felt intentional. This wasn't about escape. This was about creating something solid in a world that keeps shifting. I still don't love trailers, but I understand this one. This is Hitch to home. Sometimes transformation doesn't start with agreement. Sometimes it starts with tension. And sometimes the thing that annoys you the most is the thing teaching you what matters. Nobody plans an ultimatum. It just shows up one day, fully formed, tired of waiting. By this point, the trailer wasn't just outside our house. It was inside our marriage. Every conversation circled back to it. Time, money, attention, things that were supposed to belong to us. I didn't raise my voice. That's how serious I was. I said, This can't keep being the third thing in our relationship. He didn't argue. That scared me more than if he had. The trailer was halfway done, not broken, not finished. Suspended in the middle, just like us. I told him he had a choice. Not angrily, not dramatically, honestly. He could finish it, fully, intentionally, with me involved. Or he could keep disappearing into it until there wasn't anything left to come back to. This wasn't about the trailer anymore. It was about presence, about showing up where it mattered. I expected resistance. I expected excuses. Instead, he asked one question. What would finishing it together look like? That's when the silence changed. The tools stayed quiet that night. No music, no late hours. Just us, talking in ways we hadn't in a while. We didn't solve everything, but we agreed on one thing. If this thing was going to exist, it had to serve us, not replace us. The build changed after that. Not faster, not slower, different. Decisions were discussed. Layouts reconsidered. Compromises made. Not just in the trailer, but everywhere else too. The trailer stopped being an escape. It became a collaboration. When it was finished, it didn't feel like a victory lap. It felt like closure. We stood inside together, quiet. No reveal, no applause, just space. A space that didn't pull him away anymore. A space that somehow brought him back. This is Hitch to home. Not every build saves a relationship, but some builds force the question that needed asking all along. Choose the project, or choose the people. And sometimes, the real transformation isn't the trailer. It's what you decide to build together. The first night was quiet. Too quiet, actually. No tools, no checklist, no plans to fix anything else, just a key in the door. And before turning it. We stood there longer than we needed to, because sleeping in it together meant something different than finishing it. This wasn't a test run. This was acknowledgement. Inside, everything felt smaller than the house, but bigger than the distance we'd had lately. The lights were softer, the air warmer. The space held us instead of pulling us apart. We didn't rush. We sat on the bed like people who weren't sure what the moment required. Talked about nothing important. Laughed at how quiet it was. Listened to the walls settle like they were learning us too. Outside, the world stayed loud. Inside, everything slowed down. For the first time since the trailer showed up, there was no argument attached to it. No tension. No unspoken scorekeeping. Just presence. When the lights went off, the darkness didn't feel heavy. It felt honest. The ceiling was closer. The sounds were clearer. Every breath noticeable. It reminded us how long it had been since we shared space without distraction. Morning came gently. Light spilled in exactly where he planned it to. Not dramatic, just enough. We stayed in bed longer than usual, not because we were tired, but because we weren't in a hurry to leave. Coffee tasted better out there, not because it was fancy, but because it was intentional. That's when it clicked. This trailer wasn't a project anymore. It was a place we chose together. This is Hitch to home, where trailers become more than builds, they become mirrors. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button. It lets us know these stories matter to you. And subscribe for more real, emotional, and unexpected stories about trailer relationships on another episode of Hitch to Home.